Don't let discouragement lower your expectation of what you believe God can do in your life. Sometimes when you're waiting for a long time, you kind of lower your expectations. It's like if you're waiting for someone, to get married and you're wanting to meet someone. You wait for so long, all of a sudden you just settle for anything. And so you end up lowering your expectations and you don't receive everything that God has for you. This happened with Abram. Abraham waited 25 years for a child. And after 25 years, nothing happened, but God appears to him and says, I'm going to change your name. At that moment, Abram could have said, yeah, I've been embarrassed with this name, being father of many, yet I don't have even one kid. But God says, I'm going to call your name Abraham. You know what that meant? Father of many nations. Oh, no, forget about father of many. I want you to start thinking of father of many nations. I want you to raise your expectation. Don't lower it because you're going through some tough times. And sometimes this is what we can do. We start lowering our expectation because things aren't going well. Maybe you've been sick for such a long time. You tell God, if you can just give me more healthy days than sick days, I'll be happy. Well, aren't you lowering your expectation? If you say to God, I've been so poor so long, just don't let me be homeless. Is that your expectation, just to live without being homeless? You see, Lord, if we can just avoid getting a divorce, that would be fine. I don't care if we fight and don't like each other. Keep us from getting a divorce. Is that your expectation? Do you see how you're lowering your expectation? God, if you can just keep my kids from driving me crazy, I'll be happy. Is that it? Yet God says, great shall be your children's peace. Your children shall be taught of the Lord. You can't be lowering your expectation because things aren't going well. Raise them up. So I believe God is telling you right now, friend, don't lower your expectation. Lift it up. Start believing God to do great things. See, faith is a container, and it's up to you how big that container is going to be. Elisha met a woman who said, help me. My husband died. He was one of your prophets. He died, left me with creditors, and now my 2 sons are going to be taken as slaves to pay the debt. But what did Elisha say to the woman? What do you have in your house? She goes, I don't have anything except a little oil in a jar. And that's the idea that Elisha has. He says, go ask your neighbors for a lot of jars. Don't ask for just a few, but ask for many. And she did. And as she began to pour it, she poured it until the last jar was filled. You see, she determined how blessed she was going to be based on her expectation. Did she believe God could miraculously cause oil to flow? And if so, how much could God fill? And the moment the last jar was filled, that was it. The miracle stopped. She determined how blessed she was going to be. Whether you realize it or not, you are determining how blessed you're going to be in life. It depends how you're raising your level of expectation. What kind of faith do you have? Do you believe God to do something big, or do you think all he can do is something small? You need to get rid of the small mentality, because your mind and your faith is determining the level of your blessings. It's now time to get in the Word and find out, what does the Bible promise me? What does God say that he wants to do in my life? Because the Bible says God is able to do exceedingly, abundantly, above all we can ask or imagine. You realize that? You're not receiving based on what God can do. You're receiving based on what you can contain. What can your faith contain? What is your level of expectation? Because that's what God's doing in your life. So I challenge you in this year, start lifting your level of expectation. Start believing God for good health, for prosperity. Start believing God for your marriage to be a marriage made in heaven. Start believing God that your children are going to turn around and be taught of the Lord, and great shall be their peace. You pastors, start believing your church is going to grow big. You traveling evangelists, believe God that doors are going to be opening to you. I want you to lift up your level of expectation, because as you do, God's going to meet that level of expectation, and you're going to have the best year yet.